Take it away, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I would like to welcome you to the Wrestling Corner. Here is your host, Scotty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Foot down, thank you. Shinsuke's over the place. Thank you, Paul, for that marvelous introduction. Excuse me. Uh-huh. Okay. Today we are talking about WrestleMania 26. The first WrestleMania that I ever bought on pay-per-view. Yes. It's actually the first pay-per-view I personally ever bought. Yeah, we bought quite a few WCW pay-per-views back in the day. This was the first real one that I bought, so it was big. Remember, I had my friend over, we watched it. I remember fond memories. My drinky. I think. So I remember fond memories of this WrestleMania. I mean, I remember this WrestleMania actually being pretty good. Sitting here and watching it, though, I can tell you, it's fine for what it is. It's fine for what it is. You know what? I say this a lot, like, when I watch movies, when I do movie reviews, I'll say, before I started reviewing movies and seeing the flaws in certain things, I thought this was pretty good. And then now I'm reviewing movies, I'm critiquing them, and I'm seeing the flaws. And so I go back. It was between this and WrestleMania 22. And after watching this, I should have picked WrestleMania 22. Both of those are big in my past. They're big life things for me. WrestleMania 22 came out in 2006, which is the year I graduated high school. And this was the first pay-per-view I ever ordered. So it's, like I mentioned before, they're both big, and I had to pick between one. I was going to do one at the beginning of the month and one now. This Wrestling Corner shit was supposed to be more than once a month stuff, and it ended up being less and less. I do want to do more. 2K23's, doing my GM series there, and I got a sequel-a-thon 2 coming up, and a comic book-a-thon, which I haven't come up with a name for that yet, but pages. I don't know. And other stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I still want to do my monthly pay-per-view ones. WrestleMania is going to be tricky, though, because they insist on keeping it 2 nights. And I'm not going to be able to watch night 1 when it's on. I have to wait until the next day to watch it. Because I have my son, that day. I won't be home, stuff. So, yeah. And they did good last year with booking these pay-per-views or premium live events on the weekends that I didn't have my son. And all of a sudden, towards the end of the year, boom, 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 one after another. And it's not going to end because I've already predicted where SummerSlam's coming out. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't think... Maybe I did. I don't know. But let's talk about WrestleMania 26. A WrestleMania I thought was one of the better ones, which it could be. But there's a lot with this WrestleMania that... Well, the phrase missed opportunities comes up a lot for me during this. There were so many missed opportunities in this WrestleMania. And on paper, this looked really good. You have Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker going at it one more time. No disqualifications. There must be a pinfall or submission. That's the only way to win. You have Triple H trying to shut up the young upstart Sheamus, and Sheamus trying to prove his worth by beating someone as legendary as Triple H. Right? You have the implosion of legacy. Money in the Bank ladder match that is supposed to mold the future, right? Show us the future. And Edge coming back from a possibly career-threatening injury, his Achilles tendon, after 6 months being injured and trying to get revenge on Chris Jericho for all the things he said, my mind about him when he was injured. And then you have the Rey Mysterio and CM Punk match. Bret Hart coming back to WWE after 12 years. They keep saying 13, but Bret says 12 correctly. 12 years because it hadn't been exactly 13 years yet since the Montreal Screwjob, but coming back to make amends. Vince McMahon didn't want that, and so they have that match. A forgotten and honestly forgettable match that just shouldn't have existed, but but yeah, it's missed opportunities, and we'll talk about it. And so we start off with America the Beautiful, sung by Fantasia. Nothing against Fantasia. She's a Grammy winner, apparently. I remember her as she was like an American Idol, right? I don't know if she won, but she was on American Idol. And then she had a performance on season 10 of All That, back when that was still going on. And then I don't remember anything. Her performance on here, look, ma'am, just sing. We don't need. She's singing this song constantly. She's doing the stupid. No, just sing the song. You don't need to belt it out to the. You don't need to do extra little things on the top of it. Okay. Okay. But then we get this pretty good opening package about WrestleMania. And then we go into our opening match, which is for the unified WWE Tag Team Championships. Yes, I know it's not this just yet, but I don't have either of the other ones, so this will have to do. So it is Show Miz, whose theme song goes, so big show. Yeah, and it's mostly just the Miz's theme with this reminding you that Big Show's there. And I swear, one line is, and the Big Show. Just, I don't know. This mashup themes are weird. Yeah, the other ones. Radar KO is good, but like other ones, no. So Show Miz versus John Morrison and R-Truth, which is a forgotten tag team, although I remember it because it was constantly on SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, booking them in tag team championship matches, even though I didn't want to. A lot of people say that's one of the better games, but you couldn't defend any of the tag titles outside of any of the titles, the main title outside of Universe Mode. You couldn't. So, yeah, that sucked. But, it was fine. The graphics were good. I liked the whole movie. Anyway, this match was fine for what it was. It's basically the Miz gets his ass kicked, Big Show interferes, or eventually Big Show gets a tag, choke slam, 1, 2, 3. It's over. Basically is what it is. It's an opening match. And for some of the most recent WrestleMania opening matches where it's just been balls to the walls, multi-man stuff, this is kind of a dud to me. It just comes up short, like way short of what you should be. Why not book multiple tag teams? Why not a Fatal 4-Way tag team match? You know what I mean? Something like that. Add who was the teams at the time? The Hart Dynasty and one other team. Evan Bourne and Mark Henry. I don't know. Just another team that could, compete in this, but this one-on-one, just, it's me. Next we have Triple Threat match, the implosion of Legacy. I've ever mentioned that Vince's biggest problem is that he never pushed future stars. He never helped make future stars. This was one example of that. Randy Orton and Evolution have been having problems over the past several months. He lost the WWE Championship, or he failed to regain the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble, even though he had help. And then he basically kicked both of them out, Elimination Chamber. So they decided to have a triple threat match. A genie? Wrong! Look, the way they should have done this is a handicap match. And they even said, this is not going to be, it doesn't matter which one of us wins as long as Randy loses. So it's basically going to be a handicap match. Then just make it a handicap match. Because when you do something like that and say triple threat match, the obvious is going to happen. One of them's going to go for the pin. The other one's going to pull him off because they want to get the pin. It's, that sort of thing. Although, if they were attack teams, if it was a handicap match, they could both pin Randy, and that would be it. Or, he could pin both of them. Now, I said about building future stars, that's one thing. But, if they were building as a handicap match, Randy winning would be the appropriate one. He could pin both of them to prove that he was better than both of them combined, but then push them in the tag team division again. But no, Vince McMahon wanted to split them up completely. So it was a triple threat match. And if that was the case, either Rhodes or DiBiase should have won. In my opinion, Cody Rhodes should have won by pinning DiBiase. It should have been them teaming up together, and then they just lose it. And they go off on each other. And then Randy thinks he's taking care of Cody, and he goes after Ted. He hits him with the RKO. Randy, just before he goes to get pinned, Cody comes in, throws him over the top, pins Ted DiBiase to win. That's initiative. But nope, we have to book Randy, which at the time watching this, I wanted Randy to win. I didn't understand the concept of such things, booking and all that stuff like I do now. But either Rhodes or DiBiase should have won. In my opinion, Cody Rhodes should have won. Hindsight is 2020 with where he is now, but he was probably the most successful of the two, winning Intercontinental Championships and with Drew McIntyre after this. But I'm ready to win, I guess. Was a smart decision, but I don't know. I feel like one of them should have won instead of Randy, but Next we have the Money in the Bank ladder match. The competitors are as follows: Jack Swagger, Christian, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, who's Intercontinental Champion, Evan Bourne, Kane, Kofi Kingston, who's the United States Champion, Matt Hardy, MVP, Shelton Benjamin. So there's your lineup. Of all those, who's the one you think should Christian? Christian should win. Especially with Edge challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. It writes itself, right? Christian should win and then turn heel and cash in on Edge after he wins the world title later on in the night, right? No, they give it to Jack Swagger. And, to quote Wayne Brady, nobody wants those eggs. Jack Swagger. I remember this being a, moment. Like, why Jack Swagger? It makes no sense. And it's the first of two times they tried to push him and it didn't work. The second time it didn't work because of... But, yeah. I don't know. Out of all the people in there, I'd rather see Matt Hardy, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, Kofi Kingston, Kane, Drew McIntyre, Evan Bourne, Dolph Ziggler, and Christian win before him. I'd rather see any of the other people in that match win before Jack Swagger. In my opinion, and I know Christian would get sort of a push the next year, Christian should have won. It could have pushed him into the main event scene like they should have, and given us the match we never got. Edge versus Christian for a world title. Yes, I know they faced each other before. This is for the world title. A world title match, Edge versus Christian. I will talk about Edge's championship match later on because we're going to talk about that. But yeah. We didn't get a Hall of Fame spot. The Hall of Fame peoples, which were, top of my head, Gorgeous George, Stu Hart, Ted DiBiase. So only three: Wendy Richter, Bob Uecker, and I think there was one more, but I can't remember who it was. Sorry. But then we have Triple H versus Sheamus. Sheamus had one of the hottest years in wrestling. He started off on ECW, right? Just taking down people. And then jumped to Raw in late 2009. And then beat John Cena, albeit by putting him through a table to win a WWE Championship. He was on fire. And then he lost the title at Elimination Chamber thanks to Triple H. And so they made comparisons here between Sheamus going after Triple H to when Triple H decided to go after the Ultimate Warrior. And Triple H getting totally defeated at WrestleMania 12? I think it was 12. And so with that parallel going in, yeah, you saw the writing on the wall that Triple H was probably going to win this. However, hindsight is 2020, and Sheamus should have absolutely won this match. The match was good, don't get me wrong. They were bashing each other back and forth. It was one hell of a match. But in my opinion, Sheamus should have won this. Sheamus had one of the hottest years in wrestling. Like I said, he was, boom, WWE champion very quickly. And he lost it so they can do the whole John Cena Batista shit. And so they put him in this match, which is a good match. But Sheamus should have won, and I think he does win the one on Extreme Rules, but it's too little too late. That's 50-50 booking at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. He needs to win the first one, you know what I mean? We have Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk, and I'm sorry, this was before I became a big CM Punk fan. Like, I was a fan when he first came to ECW and all that stuff, and then the Straight Edge Society stuff happened, and I was just like, I make people shave their heads and like a cult type thing. Not a big fan. I would become a big fan a year later when CM Punk would, the Summer of Punk thing happened, but I was not a fan at this point. But I always love this promo because there is a moment, and looking back, man, I was like, whoa, they little. Because this all really got kicked off when he wants, he going after Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio says no. He comes out to air the grievances on a night on SmackDown where Rey is celebrating Aaliyah's birthday. And he's singing her happy. He's having the whole WWE Universe sing a happy birthday to her. When CM Punk and the Straight Edge Society come out. And just, Rey's like, not now. And you see Dominic, who's still taller than his dad, even at like 15 years old here, maybe younger. This was, how old is he now? 25, right? And this was in 2010, so that was, math is not my strong suit at all. He's 25 now, and this was 2010, so that was 13 years ago. So he was 15. No, he was 12. 15. He was 12. And Aaliyah is like 9 or something here. She's little. And he's still tall at 12, towering over his dad. And Angie is there, of course. And it's the whole thing when after the whole confrontation, CM Punk's, oh, one more thing, sweet little Aaliyah. Happy birthday to you. Just how he does that. That's just, he's good. He's great at being a heel, CM Punk. CM Punk even said it was around this time, he was Straight Edge Society. Somebody threw a drink at him or something, and he looked at Gallows and said, we're doing something right. So, yeah. This match is good. Rey Mysterio comes out like a Na'vi from Avatar, which I think is one of the most overrated freaking movies to ever come out. I'm sorry, I said it. I recently rewatched that this past summer with my son. It is boring. It is long. It is annoying to watch. And we're sitting there just... I think I fell asleep at some point. It's so freaking long. And I kept praying to... People were like, we're waiting for that sequel. We're waiting for that sequel. And I'm just saying, it's never coming. It's never coming. And finally, a million years later, it comes out. And I'm just like, what's the point? And it's just as long. And I went, that was a problem with the first one. Why would you make one that's the same length? Make it shorter. Movies, there's a problem with big blockbuster films. I think they need to be a million hours long. And they don't. They don't. What happened to movies being just over 2 hours long? Right? You need movies. I'm talking Scarface. 2 hours and 15 minutes, my ass. I'm just saying, some movies could benefit from a shorter runtime. Avatar didn't need a sequel. It's overrated as hell. Alright? I used to say it was good. Alright? But I agree from Mike. I agree with Mike from We Watched the Movie. It is overrated. Nah. Anyway, he comes out dressed like a Na'vi with a ponytail thing. And Rey Mysterio wins. Obviously, that's the right choice. Because if they didn't have the stipulation that if Rey lost, he would have to join the Straight Edge Society. And I had something crossed my mind here watching this. What if he was supposed to lose? What if they were going to do a story where Rey was going to join the Straight Edge Society, but Rey said no to it? Because later, if you'll remember, after CM Punk gets his head shaved, they have a mask for him. So what if they made the mask for Rey when he joined the Straight Edge Society, but then Rey said, no, that's not Buyeke. And they didn't do it. And so then they had to come up with a way to do it. It took a few months, but it happened. He shaved his head and he put the mask on. Who knows? But it crossed my mind. It might not even be true, but you know what I mean. But yeah, this match was pretty good. Rey wins. Celebration, and then yeah. There's a moment that I like. It's a good sequence here where Rey goes to set up the 619, but Gallows is there, and so CM Punk gets him up for the GTS, but Rey reverses into the Hurricane Rana, throwing CM Punk into Luke Gallows, who's knocked on his ass, and he hits the 619 splash thing, whatever, 1, 2, 3. It's a great sequence of moves. Okay, next we have the match. So Bret Hart hasn't wrestled a proper match since 1999. Because he injured himself and then left WCW, and then that was it. And so, if you were aware of his career and how that went down, because his match with Goldberg is what it was, it really took a lot out of his career. And you know that this match, like, it was hyped, but Vince McMahon versus Bret Hart, two geezers. Vince McMahon was close to 70 at this point. And then, you know, Bret Hart, without his injuries, wasn't doing any good moves. In fact, he didn't come out in wrestling gear. He came out in shorts and a t-shirt and a jacket, sunglasses. But the story here is Bret Hart left WWE in 1997 after the Montreal Screw Job. That whole thing in itself could be its own video, but basically, Bret was not willing to lose the WWE Championship in Canada and said he would drop it the next night on Raw. Easy enough. Vince said, it's not going to work for me, pal, and decided to screw him out of the title. Whether it was a work or a shoot has been heavily debated over the years. As many times it's been brought up or referenced, makes people think it was a work, but I don't know, there seems to be a lot of hatred coming out of that. And so Bret Hart left WWE, then we came back. In 2006, he was brought into the WWE Hall of Fame, but he came up, delivered his speech, talked about Owen, and when he went to leave, Vince McMahon offered a handshake, and he said nope. Did not show up for the WrestleMania the next night. Was not there. And so basically he's just like, okay, I'll join the Hall of Fame. You give me the ring and I'll just leave. Basically is what it was. You know, that sort of thing. And then here, I think the big thing luring him back was, hey, you come back and do this, we'll put your father in the Hall of Fame. This was back when the Hall of Fame was worth going into, but nowadays, I don't know. People they put in, Rey Mysterio's going in this year. Why? I know, he deserves it, but he's still wrestling. Like, you think Hall of Famers are those who've been retired for 20 years. You know, old people. Rey Mysterio is almost 50, but still. Anyway, so the story here is that Bret Hart came back to be the guest host of Raw, like when they were doing guest hosts, and he came back to let bygones be bygones and mend things up with Shawn Michaels. They shook hands, everything was okay, and Vince McMahon came out and went to shake hands, and Vince McMahon kicked him in the nuts and said, "I'm not forgiving you. Bret screwed Bret, blah 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 blah." And so Bret challenged Vince McMahon to a match. Vince McMahon said no. And then so Bret's like, okay, I guess this is goodbye. And he, John Cena is one of those guys that was trying to kind of pushing this. He's the one that pushed Bret Hart or pushed Vince McMahon into bringing back Bret Hart, which is kind of how John Cena gets in his predicament with his match, which we'll talk about a little later. But yeah, so as Bret goes to leave, he's going to get in the car, and some lady backs up right into the door and injures Bret's leg. So now that he's injured, Vince McMahon is all in to doing this wrestling match. You know what? Maybe I have a second thought there, pal. Maybe you and I should have this match, thinking he's injured. And it gets to the point where it appears as if Vince McMahon gets Bret Hart pissed off enough to take this match. The build to this is probably the best part of this match, by the way. And that, so there's a contract signing, and Vince said, Bret's like, I want to show you something. There's something on the typewriter. I don't know what it is because I see this in a package. When he turns back around, the cast is sitting on the signing table. I was never injured. I just wanted to make you think I was injured so you take the match. And the WrestleMania, if you try to get out of this, I will sue you for everything you have. Vince McMahon, that look on his face when he sees when Vince sees you see it later in the match too, but Vince sees the cast, he has that look like that Vince does where it's like he shits himself. He's like that whole, like he shit himself. And so yeah, we have the match, right? Bret Hart comes out in street clothes, basically, and then Vince McMahon comes out and he's wearing a thing at the microphone and he says, you know what? Basically, Vince McMahon says he paid off the Hart family to be the lumberjack for this match and Bruce Hart to be the referee. So he's bought the Hart family, or so it seems. Bret Hart gets on the mic and says, you know what? One thing I know about the Hart family, y'all got paid in advance, didn't you? You got paid in advance, you got your money cashed, you cashed it. You checks in the bank, you got it cashed, all that stuff. Well, let me tell you something, Vince. The Hart family is stronger than it's ever been. And this time, Vince screwed Vince, or something like that. It's a WrestleMania-sized screw job. And, yeah, basically the Hart family didn't turn on Bret. They cashed the money from Vince McMahon, which I don't know if they actually got the money because it'd be kayfabe. Bruce Hart's the referee. Bruce Hart comes out. I love when they're coming down. They're supposed to be technically heels, but Bruce Hart just goes, yeah, right in the camera. He's like, yeah. Right in the camera. I'm like, oh, okay. And Bruce Hart is wearing the sunglasses almost the whole time until the match starts. And this, It's basically everyone in the Hart family beating up Vince until Bret, because Bret can't wrestle. He can't wrestle. He physically cannot compete. So they even say it's not going to be a wrestling match. And Michael Cole's like, you see, he's not wearing wrestling gear because Bret Hart says it's not a wrestling match. And I'm just like, he's not in wrestling gear because he can't wrestle anymore. And yeah, Bret Hart wins. It's not an impressive win. It's just a win because this is the WrestleMania moment. It's not a match. It's just Vince getting his ass kicked by everyone in the Hart family, and then Bret pins him, basically. He put him in a sharpshooter. I don't know. He's beating him. Okay, at one point, Vince McMahon takes out a crowbar, which Jerry Lawler calls a tire iron. No, it's a crowbar. And then Bruce himself gets beat with it, basically. But, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And then we have what should have been one of the 3 main events. But this is not the third to last match on here. This is the fourth to last match. We get another bullshit of a match after this. But we have Chris Jericho versus Edge, and the story here is that Edge and Jericho, back at the Bash in 2009, won the Unified Tag Team Championships. Then Edge injured his Achilles tendon and had to go out. Had to go get surgery, all that stuff. Was gone for 6 months. In the meanwhile, Chris Jericho picked the Big Show to be his tag team partner and hold the tag titles with. When they won the Slammies, Chris Jericho thanked Edge for getting injured, which stirred the pot there. And then Edge returned to the Royal Rumble to win and become number 1 contender for either title, right? At Elimination Chamber, Shawn Michaels showed up and super kicked The Undertaker, causing Chris Jericho to win the title. And so the next night, Edge came out on Raw and says, Jericho, I pick you. And so it's revenge for Edge. And he loses the match. Where's the common sense in that? Like I said, this writes itself, okay? You have Edge coming back to get revenge. He doesn't win the title. He doesn't win the title. Why? Forgot something. Hold on. You have Edge come back from injury. 6 months gone, injury. You don't have it win the world title? It's the easiest thing. It writes itself. It's obvious. This was at the point where the Royal Rumble winners were just winning the Royal Rumble and not the match. Right? Because it was... In 2011, this was a real one. And he... Okay, so it started... I think it started in 2009. 2008. Who won 2007? The Undertaker. Yeah, started in 2008. John Cena won the Royal Rumble 2008. Didn't win his championship match. Randy Orton wins the Royal Rumble the next year. Didn't win his championship match. Edge wins in 2010. Doesn't win his championship match. Oh, but the Real wins in 2011. Doesn't win his championship match. And then all of a sudden, 2012, Sheamus is winning. But there were 4 years in a row where the winner of the Royal Rumble didn't win their match. And I always thought it was stupid that the winner of the Royal Rumble doesn't win their championship match. It should be a given that they win because they won the Royal Rumble. Whoever wins the Royal Rumble is going to be champion by the time WrestleMania ends. And here, this was one of those times it should have happened. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't have been. Because what we get after this is Jack Swagger cashing in on Chris Jericho the next SmackDown. And then defending the title against Randy Orton for some reason. And then Edge goes to Raw. And does nothing. Until he goes back to SmackDown again. And becomes world champion. He should have just won the world championship here. And you didn't even need to have him stay champion. Because I mentioned the Money in the Bank, have Edge win here. And as he's celebrating, Jericho attacks him And then as Jericho is attacking him, Christian comes out as if he's going to help him, which he does help get Jericho off of him. But then he looks at the world title, he looks at the Money in the Bank, and he cashes it in, hits the Unprettier, kills whichever it was, and wins the world title. It's the first ever cash in at WrestleMania, which everyone says Seth Rollins one is so good. Fine. But that would have been something to do. Of course, you probably would have had to have put this match on last if that was the case, and they weren't going to do that over Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. We'll get to that match placement later, but still. Then this match should have been on last if they were going to do that. But, we're saying that the winner of the Royal Rumble gets the main event at WrestleMania. Could have been the main event. But no, we get this stupid nonsense with the world title where Chris Jericho grabs the world title and the referee says, "You hit him with the world title, I'll disqualify you, Jericho." And then the referee instantly after that gets accidentally knocked down by Edge. And then, boop, hits him in the head, pins him, kicks out, but then hits with the code breaker, pins him, 1, 2, 3. Edge should have won this match, plain and simple. I've had that feeling since I watched it, and now, knowing how stuff works better than I did back in 2010, absolutely they could have done more. I mean, Edge versus Christian writes itself. But no, Vince McMahon, Jack Swagger, I don't even know why. That experiment went nowhere. And even if it was the same kind of nothingness with Christian, like it was with Jack Swagger, at least Christian would have done something. They would say Christian's the first man to ever cash in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? He would have some kind of notoriety to him. But as it stands, nah. Then we get bullshit no nonsense match. And this is where I realized that the Peacock version of this cut out a few things. So it is Alicia Fox, in my own damn writing, it is Alicia Fox, Layla, Maryse, Michelle McCool, and Vicky Guerrero versus Beth Phoenix, Eve Torres, Gail Kim, Kelly Kelly, and Mickie James. Both female champions are in this match. The Divas champion is Maryse, the women's champion is Michelle McCool, and neither of them are defending their titles. That shows you how much Vince thought of the women's division at this point, or Divas division at this point, right? And I think it's Jerry Lawler or someone that mentioned something when Vicky Guerrero comes out about how she was guaranteeing a victory or something, and I went, they cut something out because it ends up being a Slim Jim ad. But during this promo she's cutting, Santino comes out, walks up to her, and bites a Slim Jim and turns her into various things, and tells she's eventually Melina, thank you, Slim Jeans. I remember that a lot more than this match, which was nothing. Vicky Guerrero is the only one to ever be a legal woman in this match for the heel team. It is schmaz after schmaz after schmaz in this match. First of all, it's Vicky Guerrero and, Gail Kim that starts off the match. And Vicky Guerrero, slaps Gail Kim and is like, but then Gail Kim tags in Beth Phoenix, and so she turns around, she's like, "Wah!" Runs into a corner and hides. And then basically, everyone takes turns hitting finishing moves on each other before Vicky Guerrero is helped with a hog splash, as Jerry Lawler calls it, off the top rope onto Kelly Kelly, who is the legal woman for the other team at this point. And they even botched the ending because when she pulls up Kelly Kelly's leg, she goes too far up. And so her shoulder comes off, so the referee's like, "Hey, you got it." So she does little jumps on her or something, and then pins her again. She messed up. She could have just pinned it. I don't know. Who cares about this match? This match can go fuck itself. You could have just had the women's titles. There's only 2 titles on the line tonight. 3 titles on the line. The tag titles the world title and the WWE title. Every title should be on the line at WrestleMania. Now this year, they're rectifying that. Because almost every title is on the line except for the women's tag titles. Like I talked in nauseam about how I don't care about those. But anyway, 2 matches left. We have John Cena versus Batista for the WWE Championship, and it was this. So, John Cena lost the WWE Championship back in December to Sheamus, who would carry it till the Elimination Chamber match, where John Cena would win it back. And then immediately Vince McMahon would come out because, John Cena was involved with the Bret Hart stuff and say, you know what? You're going to defend your title one more time against this man, Batista, who was technically on SmackDown at the time. He came out, he beat Cena for the WWE title, and he's walking around. He's got a new attitude, he's got a spotlight, he's got this whole new thing. Heel Batista before he left WWE shortly after. But yeah. And so basically Batista is the hired gun for Vince McMahon at this point, and he's now WWE champion. And so John Cena's coming to WrestleMania to get his championship back, and that's just what happens. And it's painfully obvious. You're watching this. Yeah, John Cena's going to win. There is no one in the world who believed Batista was winning this. And I don't know. It's just plain Jane. Just plain simple. Cena wins, LOL. Cena has this weird entrance where he comes up with some drill team thing where they do with the guns, the rifles, whatever. I don't know. Like, Cena's had some decent ones, but this is just stupid. This is just stupid. But yeah, Cena wins. They do call back to the whole spot from SummerSlam 2008 where Cena got injured off of a top rope jump into a spine buster. But yeah, John Cena wins. Of course he does. And then we have the match that we shouldn't have got in. You think Vince McMahon would have learned his lesson booking Stone Cold versus The Rock at 3 different WrestleManias, but even after this, he doesn't learn it. So at WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker stole the show. A lot of people complained that it wasn't the main event. So they decided to book it as the main event again, to book the match again, this time as the main event for WrestleMania 26. The only problem with that is you're setting yourself up for failure right away. Because there is no conceivable way you can follow up the performance that happens the first time. I know from experience, when I've had to re-record my reviews, I do such a good job the first time, and then when I mess up, something happens, I have to restart, redo the whole thing. It's never as good as the first time. And so, you're telling these guys to go out there and recreate this for a second year in a row. And to me, it falls short. Because, especially since they put the asterisk that if Shawn Michaels loses, he's going to retire. Well, Shawn Michaels then says, if I can't beat The Undertaker, I have no career. So basically, and he's made it abundantly clear in the lead up that the only thing he has left is beating The Undertaker. He doesn't care about anything else. So, we pretty much knew Shawn Michaels was on his way out. Every time there's a retirement match, they have to lose, which, in the case of Kurt Angle, should have been the other way around. I know Angle wanted John Cena, but they couldn't get him. So Angle got Baron Corbin. Could have picked anyone else. Anyone else. You could have him go out and have a match with Chad Gable or even Hornswoggle, and it would have been more appropriate than Baron Corbin. But anyway, I digress. So Shawn Michaels was on the road to WrestleMania. He wanted that they're going to defend the tag titles, and they lost. Shawn Michaels says, I'm going to WrestleMania. And that's what it is. I'm going to go to WrestleMania. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. He gets knocked out. He's pissed. And Triple H says, we still got the tag titles. We'll go defend them at WrestleMania. DX has never been together at WrestleMania. Still hasn't. And so we'll go to WrestleMania and we'll do that. And lose the tag titles. Triple threat tag match, I think it is. But they lose the tag titles. So I've been talking for a long time. My throat is sore. They lose the tag titles. And so Shawn Michaels only sees The Undertaker as his only way to get to WrestleMania. So he shows up in the Elimination Chamber match in which The Undertaker is the World Heavyweight Champion. That's why he wanted to win the Royal Rumble and challenge The Undertaker. In my opinion, he should have won one more before, but you know. He super kicks, like I mentioned in the Chris Jericho match, he super kicks Undertaker, helping Jericho win the title, and then they have their match at WrestleMania. And this match is good. It's fine. It's just never going to live up to the first one. And they try to do this over and over again, you know, double matches where they have once in a lifetime, John Cena and The Rock, and then do it again at the next WrestleMania. Why? And then even before that, they do Triple H and The Undertaker. Triple H is going to get revenge for The Undertaker retiring Shawn Michaels. And then they do it again the next year. And to try to make that better, they make a Hell in a Cell match. Here they do make it no disqualification. Or they make, I think it's supposed, they say you can only win by pinfall or submission. No qualifications, no countouts. So I'm assuming that's what it was, but there's not much in weapons. There's a, I think, announce table spot. But yeah, The Undertaker wins. And it's just basically trading finishers back and forth until, you know, once it gets towards the end of the match, it's that. But it is a decent match. It's a good one. I would say the one at WrestleMania 25 is better, but, you know, it's fine for what it is. But yeah, and then Shawn Michaels loses, and and the last words you hear are Michael Cole saying, goodbye, we'll miss you. And it ends. So, yeah, WrestleMania 26 is fine, but not as good as I remember it being in hindsight. But, yeah, I've been talking for almost 50 minutes. My throat is sore. I'm talking so much, but I enjoyed talking about this. So, what are your thoughts on WrestleMania 26? Let me know in the comments. Let me share, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.